So what is up, guys? This is Nick here from Everything Tech, and welcome to this ZTE Zmax 2 versus LG Stylo 2 comparison video. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to put these babies together in a series of tests to find out which device might be better suited for your lifestyle and your needs. We're going to have a great time here. We're just going to see which one is a better device for you. So let's have fun. Let's get into it right now. Let's go. So let's begin this video by talking a little bit about the ZTE Zmax. So you can see you have your power button here on the right, and we have our power button here on the LG Stylo 2 on the back. And we're going to boot these guys up in 3, 2, 1, and we're going to hit these power buttons at the same time. Let's go here. And we're going to see which device does get to the home screen first. Now my guess is it's going to be the LG Stylo 2, because in the past I have had, seen the ZTE Zmax 2 pretty much lose to every device in terms of its boot up speed. Now that doesn't make it a slow device, but it does make it a device that is not going to be the fastest to boot up. And in the real world, this is not too much of an issue, because most of the time we don't really boot our phones on and off that much. Usually have them on pretty much all the time, and then we just charge them. But for this case, I do think that the LG Stylo 2 is going to take the cupcake, or the cake, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so you can see LG Stylo 2 is booted up on the right here, and we're still on the AT&T logo here on the ZTE Zmax 2. So let's see if it can get there. Come on, ZTE, you can get there. Come on. See, it just takes forever to boot this thing up. And I think we're about to get there in just a second. So the ZTE Zmax 2 has finally booted up here. So let's take a closer look at the devices themselves. So on the ZTE Zmax 2, you are going to find yourself a 5.5-inch 720p HD display. That is 1280 by 720, a 2 megapixel front facing camera, and an 8 megapixel rear facing camera with a single LED flash. If you go up to the right side, you can see we do have our power buttons, and on the bottom micro USB, nothing on the left side. And it does have a grippy textured back, but let's go ahead now and pop off that back cover. And if we pop that back cover off, you can see we do reveal ourselves a 3000 milliamp hour battery, expandable storage up to 32 gigs, and we do have a micro SIM slot here and a speaker grill here on the right. So let's snap that ZTE back on, and the ZTE Zmax 2 does have a very sturdy and solid feel. Everything snaps in, and it's a really quality feeling device for its price. Now on terms of the LG Stylo 2 here, we have a 5.7-inch HD display. That's that same 1280 by 720 pixels. That's 257 ppi. We do have a 5 megapixel front facing camera. Going on to the bottom, we do have these on-screen buttons, and we do have nothing there but the lip, and we do have a micro USB and a 3.5 millimeter headset jack. Going off to the rear side, we do have a 13 megapixel camera with a single LED flash, volume rocker switches, and a power button, which is not a fingerprint scanner. We also have a stylus right there. If we pop this back cover off, we do reveal ourselves another 3000 milliamp hour battery, expandable storage up to 128 gigs, a speaker grill on the left, and nothing there. And this is also a pretty nice feel. It snaps on right nice and tightly here on the LG as well. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about the ZTE. The ZTE, like I say, build quality is just great, but in terms of design on the LG, I would say it's a lot more thin, sleek, and it looks a little bit more modern, I would say, than the LG or than the ZTE Zmax 2. So that's what I'm going to talk about in terms of build and design. So let's take a closer look at software on each of these devices. I'm going to hop over into the settings on both devices and scroll down until we find the software, just to confirm what versions we are actually running on both. So I'm going to About Phone. You can see I do have Lollipop here on the ZTE Zmax 2, but as I locate software info, you're going to notice we do have 6.0.1 Marshmallow on the Stylo 2. So no Marshmallow updates coming to the ZTE Zmax 2, which is kind of a bummer. I haven't seen them yet. Hopefully they do come soon, but I haven't seen them yet. Now I want to mention that the ZTE Zmax 2 does have the home buttons below the screen, which makes for these screens to feel almost the same size. Although I want to mention that the Stylo 2 has a very wide feel, so it does feel a little more tablet-like in my opinion than the ZTE Zmax 2 did here. Taking a little bit of a closer look at the displays, the ZTE Zmax 2, I found it to be a brighter screen than the LG Stylo 2, as well as a clearer screen, and that's probably because of its, higher pixel density, smaller screen, and higher pixel density. But I found that the G Stylo had a warmer screen, which made it a little bit better for reading, but not better for outdoors. Although they did include the reader mode, you can get the blue light filter. So they do have some advantages over the ZTE, but not too many, and I would say the win for the screen has to go to the ZTE for a more clear and brighter display. Now, in terms of, just the general user interface, scrolling through things, you could see these devices perform similarly. This is 2016. Scrolling through devices, if you can't scroll through the device, you probably should get a new device, because pretty much any of the newer devices can handle regular scrolling. So let's go into these applications and see how quick they are. So let's hop into calendar, and you can see the ZTE Zmax 2.1 there. And if I'm missing anything, let me know down below. Let's go into calculator, pretty close there. Let's go back home here, and let's go into clock. And let's see, it's pretty similar. Both of these devices are running Snapdragon 410 CPUs with 2 gigs of RAM. So they are like neck and neck in terms of their processing and horsepower under the hood. So let's go into gallery, about the same there. Let's come back out. Let's go into settings, about the same there. And I do want to mention that the LG Stylo 2 does have that newer G5 animation, so it might slow it down just a little bit, but I found it to be a very buttery, smooth looking animation, very pleasing to the eyes. So let's go into Twitter. And you could see Twitter first here on the Stylo 2. Let's go into a Pi Geek and let's see which one loads this up quicker. So they are like neck and neck. So it seems in terms of performance that the device you may want is not going to come down to performance. It's going to come down to design. It's going to come down to the stylus and all that other stuff, because in terms of performance, we're showing these babies are just neck and neck here. So let's go into, let's see, a website here. I did find that the ZTE Zmax 2 did handle gaming a little bit better here. It was kind of shocking. So if you guys were wondering about gaming, it did handle gaming a little bit better than the G Stylo 2, and that might be because of, the bigger screen with the same power, less pixels to push or something like that, It might be something along them lines. So let's go down to Techno Buffalo and let's just open an article here. So it seems that the ZTE Zmax 2 and the Stylo 2 are pretty even here as well. But let's find an article. Xbox One S, or I think that's what that says. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what's happening here. So priced at $299. But you can see that that was the ZTE. Now, this little lag thing, I always get this on the ZTE Zmax 2. I don't know what this is. And I know a lot of people are going to say, Nick, go ahead and install a custom launcher. But some people don't know how to do that and don't want to do that. They just want to use their phone. And this right here is kind of really annoying because I can't even go into the app drawer. But the ZTE or the G Stylo or the Stylo 2, keep getting that messed up, doesn't even have an app drawer. But you can see that the cameras, in terms of the cameras, they do open similarly. You can see, let's open those again. They do open similarly, but the ZTE Zmax 2 does have the manual mode. So it provides for more, controls. Now, in terms of the quality, I found that the LG Stylo 2, if you know what you're doing, gets better pictures and they look better on a computer. But in terms of just opening up the camera, the ZTE Zmax 2 camera looks clearer, like in the viewfinder. But when you blow them up on a computer, the photos from the Stylo 2 looks better. And the video recording is not great on either of them. Both of these are, subpar cameras. They're not, going to blow your pants away, but they're pretty good nonetheless. So in terms of battery life, the ZTE Zmax 2 does have that 3000 milliamp hour battery. And from my experience, I found it to be really good, anywhere from 4.5 to 7.5 hours of on-screen time from my experience. Now on the Stylo 2, similar results, anywhere from 4.5 to 7.5 hours on-screen time, depending on your brightness levels, location settings, and all those things. But you're easily getting through a day on each of these devices. Although I found that the LG Stylo 2 was a bit more consistent than the ZTE Zmax 2. Sometimes I would only get 4.5 hours on screen time ZTE, whereas on the Stylo 2 I'm always getting 5 hours plus on screen time. So LG's got the nod there. In terms of smoothness, once again, we talked about this earlier, about the same, but the Stylo 2 does have the benefit of the stylus, which can be huge if you're a creative person. But if you're not into, all that stylus stuff and you think that screen's too small, you already have a Surface Pro or something like that, that won't really matter too much from your case. But overall, I would say The Stylo 2 is a more buttery, smooth experience, whereas the ZTE Zmax 2 has the benefit of stock Android, making it a very quick and speedy device, which I personally enjoy more on the ZTE Zmax 2. Now, in terms of design, either you like the square, grippy design, or you're going to like this sleek, thin design that the Stylo 2 offers. So, which device would I choose? For my money, I'm going with the Stylo 2, even though it is 3 times the cost of the ZTE Zmax 2, depending on where you get it. Some places it's 2 times the cost. It just has a few more benefits over the ZTE Zmax 2 for me. But anyway, like I say, the ZTE Zmax 2 is still going to be a great device if you're on a super tight budget and you don't want to drop $100+ on a phone. So that's going to pretty much wrap this video, guys, up. If you guys enjoyed it, please go ahead, hit that thumbs up for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you all in the next episode. Be sure to be well, and peace.
No, no, no.